Hello, everybody. Welcome. This must be episode 26 now of our introduction to the Waterloo campaign. I hope you've been enjoying flying over France as we follow Napoleon on his way back from exile in Elba. We are currently over the town of Maubeuge, northern France. This is the route that we've taken from all the way from Elba down there where the number one is, and we've come all the way up to Paris. Napoleon gets there on the 20th of March. Since that time, he's sent letters off to the sovereigns of Europe saying, I'm going to be peaceful. But as we said in the last episode, he receives the reply or the unopened letter back from the British government on, I think it was the 8th of April. And so Napoleon realizes that his chances of peace is not going to happen, so he has to he now can go full scale ahead on the recruitment of soldiers, the bringing back all the conscripts from 1814, the deserters who had deserted the Bourbon army. He sends out all these messages. He says, we're going to have some peeps here, chaps. We're going to go off and fight a war. And we got to we flew from Paris to Maubeuge, which is this town here on the border of Belgium, because this is the route that Napoleon has taken. On the 12th of June, he's left Paris. He's been trying to be seen in public as much as possible because there's spies. He knows there's spies in the town, in the city, and he knows, and Wellington knows that when Napoleon can't be seen anymore, it means he's probably on his way, because he likes to command his troops in the field, and so he tries to do as many public appearances as possible in that period just before he leaves. He leaves on the 12th. He stays at he has lunch on the way from Paris in a place called Soissons, which is this town here. And he then spends the night in Laon. And then from Laon, he then moves up to Maubeuge. And that's where we are now. And I thought what we'll do is we'll just head now to Charleroi. And we'll start to introduce the actual lay of the land of the Waterloo campaign. So this has given you a good... I know it's episode 26 and we've taken this quite slowly, but you've got a sense of the distances involved, and we're now heading off to Charleroi. In the last episode, we were talking about that Napoleon was going full out now to try to recruit men. He realizes, he gets the letter back from the British government, and he realizes that there is little chance that they will accept his peace terms. They won't give him the opportunity to use that any time to build up his forces. Wellington has estimated that given enough time, he could probably muster about 600,000 men by the end of the summer. So it was a priority for the Allies to mobilize their armies. They believed that they could probably, or they committed to an army the size of about 750,000 men by July. And so in the meantime, Wellington is in Brussels. He's got his supply lines coming from Ostend and Antwerp. The Prussians are to his on his left flank to the east. They have their supply lines going back to Liège, and they're trying to build up forces as well. So it's a kind of an arms race, and at the moment Wellington is on a sort of defensive, expecting possibly to have to go on to the offensive. And as we said in the last episode, one of the key indicators of that is that the bridges on the Belgian border aren't destroyed, because if he thought that they would be used, he would have destroyed. If Napoleon wanted them, he would have had them destroyed. So he didn't want them because he thought they'd be more useful to him. So that's a good indication of the mindset of Wellington at this point. Now we know the call out to recruit and mobilize the French army was seeing different levels of success. Western provinces of France were very royalist in their outlook, especially the Vendée and areas of Provence. So it wasn't sometimes Napoleon didn't even bother to recruit from those areas. Discussed how some of the turnouts would be pathetic. The Bouches-du-Rhône had they were ordered to provide over 3,000 men, and I think 137 were came to the colours by the 9th of June. So this gives us on the French side, it shows how the population in France was apathetic, not only to the Bourbon royalty but also to Napoleon. They are war weary. They've 25 years of war. So Napoleon's domestic position is in doubt. The Bourbon government had issues because it was coming from a time when we were going from a war economy to a peace economy, and of course the problems that the Bourbon government had, the Restoration had in 1814, is the same problems that basically Napoleon's going to have, and it would take time to cure those problems. And because the Allies aren't going to give him time to cure those problems, Napoleon's going to have to buy himself time, and he has to go on the offensive. And it's under that sort of light that you now understand the gamble that Napoleon has to take. He can't, to cure now his domestic issues, he needs to go offensive on the international stage once more. Now, he's always cured his issues. By the way, this is a important area. We're into the campaign area here. We've got Charleroi ahead of us. These rivers, by the way, this is what I mean by these towns, these bridges here. They could easily have been blown prior to any invasion, but weren't. So we will be looking at these sort of terrains as the French come up through this region here. This is the terrain then that Napoleon will come up to. We're in the on the French border. We just crossed the French border. I don't think the modern border is the same as the old border. But you see these bridges, these old bridges, towns, these gullies, these steep rivers. You know, if you could make it difficult, more difficult for Napoleon if you actually destroyed these bridges on these rivers. In the past, Napoleon had used the conscription system to bolster his army. Because of the way that the war had gone up to 1814, he had used quite a lot of his conscription allocation, I suppose you could call it. He called up vast armies. He had hundreds of thousands of conscripts. But the king, the Bourbon king, abolished conscription, so new laws had to be passed. Of course, passing of these new laws meant that Napoleon's popularity would take more of a dip. So although the Bourbon government was unpopular, one of the most popular things was them to cancel conscription. We just spoke about Ney and him coming across to Napoleon and his proclamation that he wanted Napoleon to be a bit more liberal in his means. And so some of the things that Napoleon did when he came back was to appease these marshals and generals that had come over to him and politicians. He allowed the press to be a little bit more freer at the time. There was a little bit more political activity, I suppose you could call it, in the government. And he didn't really, because he needed their support to remain in power. And all this meant that, with lack of conscription, meant that he couldn't quickly raise a large army, and that's why he appealed to the people who they had. I'm losing the word now. He appealed to the people who had gone AWOL from the Bourbon government to come back. And so that's the majority of the people who come back into his service at the time. But as we say, it's not the hundreds of thousands that he wanted, but it was more something in the region of 70 to 80,000 people. One of the advantages he has is that because it's the Allies who have declined his peace proclamation, he feels that this is a propaganda for him. He can justify his attempts to raise an army again because he now believes that he can then frame it as protecting France from invasion. And so his main outlook on the campaign is that this these allied armies, the only way he could be really successful would be to defeat the armies of the Allies piecemeal, which meant, like we discussed, he could pin certain armies to each other. So the nearest armies to France, of course, are the British and the Anglo-Dutch and the Prussians. He would feel it was important that they could be knocked out quickly. And of course, the other advantage of that was that the British army, the Anglo Dutch army, was the British were basically the paymasters of the Allies. So he could hopefully have an impact on the British finances if he could get them to be defeated quickly. And that I would also, being coming to Belgium, you obviously it's got links to France. A lot of the Belgians have fought for France, so a defeat for the Allies in this country would sow the seed of doubt and hopefully spread a worry and issue around across the Allied armies and invaders, and unite his, more importantly, unite his French nationals behind him when they can see the success that he's brought. We are in Charleroi right now. Charleroi. This is our final destination, and this will be a key place in the Waterloo campaign. We will discuss this later. We'll continue our look at the campaign. Of course, Napoleon, with being weak nationally, he felt that the longer he went on without some sort of success to unify the nation, the more likely it was that he would be removed. And so it became important for him to initiate an attack for both for that sort of domestic reasons. And his long-term plan was to split Wellington from Blucher, force Wellington back on his supply route to the ports, force Blucher back along his supply routes. He would hopefully then be able to march into Germany and then threaten the flank and rear of the Austrians and Russians before they could lend a support. It's a complete gamble. But he's got nothing to lose. He's breached the Treaty of Fontainebleau. He's been deemed an outlaw, and this is his last hurrah. But that's the plan. I suppose it's a plan, and we will see in the next series of episodes here on Flight Past how close Napoleon gets to succeeding in that objective. So we are here at Charleroi. Napoleon, the French army, on the border, and we will, in the next few episodes, we'll do flying around the south Belgium area. We'll have a look at some of the key areas as we still continue talking of the build-up, and then we will then start to actually get down into the nitty-gritty and the routes that they took. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I've been banging on now. This is probably this will all go up on YouTube, break it up into different parts. I think this is probably episode 26. If you want to follow me in the future, I will. I stream on Twitch. Nothing gets edited, but we will post these back onto YouTube for our YouTube fans to watch videos on demand. I hope you like that. There's lots of postcards at the top of different playlists that we've done, and there's also a channel on building Notre Dame in Minecraft, which you might be interested in. All the music in between the episodes are by myself as well, Iparaten, and if you want to support the channel, you can go and like and save those on wherever you get your music from. But on that note, I hope you had a good day, and I will see you maybe tomorrow. Actually, I might carry on tomorrow. We'll keep on moving. We'll keep on plugging the campaign, and we have now got to the point where the Waterloo campaign proper will begin. Okay, I have waffled on for too long. I will see you in the next one.